Welcome back, everyone, to the GENS Global Virtual Book Tour 26. I'm your host, Rish Jiggles, founder of GENS Publication, proudly partnered with Activate Core. Today's guest is a woman who walked away from a thriving corporate career to pursue something far greater: her family, her community, and her God-ordained purpose. She's an entrepreneur, a community champion, and now a published author whose message is turning brokenness into an absolute beauty. Please welcome the author of The Thief That Stole My Time, Broken into Beautiful, Shellyann Patrick. Shellyann, tell us who you are beyond the title and the book. Who is the woman behind the mission?
Beyond the title and the book, I'd say I'm a woman who has been shaped by faith, life experiences, challenges, growth, and a deep desire to make a difference. I value connection, authenticity, and purpose. The mission I carry didn't come from a place of having all the answers. It actually came from walking through my own journey, learning lessons along the way, and feeling called to share them with others. At my core, I'd say I'm a daughter, an aunt, a friend, a sister, a learner, and someone who believes that every person's story has value. I enjoy the simple things, meaningful conversations, moments of reflection, laughter, and spending time with the people I love mostly. The woman behind the mission is still growing, still learning, and still trusting God with each new chapter. What drives me is the hope that my story, my work, and my voice can encourage others to embrace their own journey with courage, faith, and purpose. And like the woman at the well, the message that burns in my soul is, come see a man that can break every chain.
You hold a master's degree in marketing. What was that season of your life like, and what did it teach you?
I just wanted to first clarify that while I did spend some time in Manchester, England, I didn't actually pursue my master's degree there. That I completed when I returned home. So my time in England, though, was more about gaining life and work experience. That season was indeed transformative. Living in a different country exposed me to new cultures, perspectives, and ways of thinking. It pushed me outside of my comfort zone and taught me independence, adaptability, and resilience for sure. I learned how to navigate unfamiliar environments, build relationships with people from diverse backgrounds, and grow in confidence both personally and professionally.
You built a successful career in sales and marketing in the media industry. From the outside, it looked perfect. What was really going on inside?
From the outside, my career looked successful, and in many ways it was. I genuinely enjoyed the work, the growth, and the opportunities it gave me. But what I discovered about myself is that my deepest sense of fulfillment doesn't come from titles and achievement. Whenever I see someone flourishing in their career, I celebrate them wholeheartedly. There is never a sense of loss or envy in me. What makes me feel unfulfilled is when I'm not writing, creating, or sharing what God has placed in my heart. That's when I feel a void. I've learned that success for me isn't about what I accomplish professionally. It's about whether I'm living out my purpose and using my voice to impact others.
You describe yourself as a surviving entrepreneur. What does that word surviving mean to you personally?
When I talk about striving, I'm really speaking about the reality of building while still becoming. There are moments of uncertainty, moments when things don't move as fast as you hoped, and moments where you're stretching beyond what feels comfortable. The struggle isn't always external, it's also internal. Staying consistent, staying focused, and continuing to believe in the vision when you can't yet see the full picture. But for me, striving means that I keep showing up, I keep learning, and I keep building with purpose, even in those in between seasons.
The Thief That Stole My Time, Broken into Beautiful. Where did that title come from, and when did you know that that was the book you needed to write?
I've always loved writing, but I never really saw myself as a real author. About 2 years before I launched my first book, I attended a conference where a lady spoke a word over my life that there was a book in me. I took that as a step of faith and started writing. As I reflected, I realized I was most passionate about the seasons where time felt stolen from me. Not in an obvious way, but through decisions, distractions, and quiet compromises that slowly pulled me off course. That's really where the title was born. It became about taking those experiences and turning them into something honest, healing, and redemptive.
Who is the thief in this book, and how did you finally identify him in your own life?
The thief in this book is ultimately the enemy and a deception that was hidden behind many of my choices, distractions, and a distorted sense of identity. I identified him when I began to recognize the patterns that were stealing my peace, purpose, and growth. Each chapter reveals a different way that deception operated in my life and how truth helped me to overcome it.
The tagline, Broken into Beautiful, is so powerful. Can you walk us through what that transformation looked like for you personally?
For me, broken into beautiful represents how God used my brokenness as a doorway to transformation. The cracks in my life allowed His light to enter the places that needed healing, growth, and restoration. The light transformed me from within, turning pain into purpose and revealing something beautiful that I never could have become without this journey.
The cracks in us is where the light seeps in. That line stops you in your tracks. What does it mean to you?
That line means our broken places don't have to define us. They can become the very places where healing begins. For me, the cracks were the wounds, the disappointments, and struggles I experienced. But instead of hiding them, I allowed God's light to shine through them. That's where transformation happened. The same cracks I thought would break me became the places where beauty, strength, and purpose emerged.
Was there a moment, a rock bottom, that became the turning point for this book?
Yes, the turning point came during a season of complete helplessness, brokenness, and eventually ultimate surrender. I had reached the end of my own strength and could no longer carry the weight of what I was facing. Then, in one divine moment, God intervened. What felt like rock bottom became the place where healing began. My perspective changed, and my journey towards restoration and purpose truly started. That experience became the foundation of this book.
Who did you write this book for? Who is the woman you had in mind when you were writing?
I had two groups of people in mind when I wrote this book. First, the younger generation, to encourage them to be mindful of their time, to live purposefully, and to not allow the enemy to steal their identity, their purpose, or their potential. The second group was To those who feel the thief had already stolen years from their lives through their pain, distractions, mistakes, or their brokenness, my message to them was simple: hope is not lost. God is a redeemer, and He can restore what was lost and redeem the time for His purpose and glory.
You walked away from the corporate world of much greater pursuits. How did people around you react to that decision?
Many of the people around me were happy and proud of what they saw as my success in the corporate world. So when I chose to walk away, they viewed it as a foolish decision. Their reaction actually impacted me emotionally because it revealed how superficial much of our definition of success can be. I saw how differently people treated me when their perception was that I was no longer successful. But that experience taught me a powerful lesson. My worth is not found in a title, a position, or in other people's approval. It's found and only found in my God-given purpose.
You now run your own small business. What does it look like day to day, and how has it changed your life?
Running my own cottage business means wearing many hats and putting in a lot of effort every day. There are definitely moments when the work seems to outweigh the rewards, but the autonomy it gives me is something I wouldn't trade for anything. Being able to make my own decisions, create my own terms, and build something meaningful has changed my life in ways that go far beyond financial success.
You're deeply involved in community work. What drives that passion, and where does it come from?
What drives me is the desire to positively impact the lives of the people around me with whatever God placed inside of me. Whether it's my time, my skills, encouragement, or resources, I believe we're all given gifts that aren't meant to be kept to ourselves. For me, it's about serving others, creating opportunities, and leaving people and communities better than I found them.
What is your message to a woman who feels like the enemy has stolen her best years, her time, her dreams, her identity?
I would tell her that there is hope. Nothing God intended for your life has been lost forever. The enemy may have delayed you, distracted you, or wounded you, but he cannot cancel God's purpose for you. Your story isn't over. The years behind you may hold pain, but the years ahead of you still hold promise. There is hope because God is still able to restore, redeem, and bring beauty from every chapter of your journey.
How do faith and entrepreneurship work together in your life? Can you have one without the other?
For me, faith isn't something I add to entrepreneurship. It's the foundation of it. My business is simply one of the ways I express the gifts, purpose, and calling God has placed on my life. There are seasons when the numbers don't make sense, the doors don't open, and the path isn't clear. In those moments, faith becomes the anchor. So while entrepreneurship is what I do, faith is who I am. One gives me a platform, the other gives me purpose.
So tell us, how did you connect with GENS publication, and what made you say yes to the virtual book tour?
I connected with GENS publication through my dear friend and mentor, Pastor Johann Boshoff, who introduced me to the opportunity. What made me say yes to the virtual book tour was the chance to share my story with a wider audience. If my experiences, lessons, and journey can inspire even one person to keep going, to heal, or to pursue their purpose, then it's a conversation worth having.
What has surprised you most about putting your story into a book and sharing it publicly?
What has surprised me most is how the healing comes from sharing what I once thought I had to keep hidden. I expected to feel vulnerable, and don't get me wrong, it does. But I didn't expect it to feel so freeing. I've also been surprised by how my openness encouraged others to air out their own pain as well. Shame loves to stay hidden, but when we shine a light on it, it loses its power. It's shown me that honesty doesn't just tell a story, but it sets people free.
What do you want every woman watching today to do first thing after this interview ends?
The first thing I want every woman watching to do is to pause and confront her truth before God. Without hiding, without shrinking, and without shame. I want her to lay it all down and realize that shame has had a voice in her life for far too long, but it doesn't get to rule her anymore. In that moment, I want her to strip shame of its power and embrace the freedom Christ already died to give her. Because she's not disqualified, she's not forgotten, and she's not beyond redemption. There is hope, and freedom begins the moment she receives it.
Is The Thief That Stole My Time the beginning? And are there more books coming? We know about Fight Back.
Yes, this is just the beginning. The Thief That Stole My Time is one part of a much bigger journey. But there is so much more still to be written and shared. And yes, Fight Back is already part of that unfolding story. And there are more messages, more lessons, and more chapters that I believe are still to come. I don't see this as a one-time expression, but as a continued assignment to share, to heal, and to help others do the same. I've picked up the pen again, and I can feel another story quietly brewing in my spirit. Still forming, still unfolding. God hasn't finished writing my story, and I don't intend to stop until He does.
Final question. Complete this sentence. My prayer for every woman who reads this book is...
My prayer for every woman who reads this book is that she would see herself through the lens of God's love and truth. Not through shame, not through pain, and not through her past. That she would find healing in the places she thought were beyond repair. Courage to rise from what tried to break her. And the freedom to walk boldly in who she was always created to be. And above all, that she would know there is hope. Her story is not over, and God is still writing beautiful chapters in her life.
Shellyann, what a story, what a journey, what a woman. Friends, if the enemy has stolen your time, your joy, your identity, this book is your battle cry. The Thief That Stole My Time, Broken into Beautiful by Shellyann Patrick, available now. Link is in the bio. And this has been the GENS Global Virtual Book Tour 26, hosted by GENS Publication in partnership with Activate Core. I'm Rish Jiggles, and remember, the cracks in us is where the light seeps in. Until next time.
Subscribe to RJ's Antics for loads more.